Where I am now, better than before. Through those open doors, where I am now, where I am now, I'm in a special place. I'll take a walk and place where I am now.
It's now time for the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world. That's FYI Radio Show with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. The music that you hear in the background is none other than Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, where I am now. And if you'd like to see us live in WGPL 1350 studio, WMVA 88.9 FM studio, all you have to do is go to Edward Everett's Facebook page or Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton Facebook page. And guess what? You can see us live right here in the studio. And if you want to hear us all over the globe, all you have to do is go to 1350 AM, 1400am.com, click and listen live. Make sure you go to Church Webcast and click, and you can hear us all over the world. And now I want to introduce to some and present to others the host of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton, and a pleasant good morning to you.
Good morning. Mr. E, is a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
Would you, could you, will you be my neighbor?
Let's welcome our neighbors. Let's welcome WGPL 1350 AM listeners.
Peace 95.3 FM, WPCE 1400 AM, WMVA 88.9 FM.
Facebook Live is on and pop. And let's also welcome Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise we'll shout you out.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe.
Like, share, comment, and subscribe. Go to Crystal Records 1. That's at YouTube, CRISTO Records 1. Or you can go to at FYI Radio Show, host Yolanda Hinton on that same platform. Make sure you like, share, comment, and subscribe. And we promise we'll shout you out.
You promise?
Promise.
Shout out.
Woo, Mr. E.
Yes.
What day is it today?
Today. Is home day.
I'm going to jump out of my seat.
That's what today is.
Wonderful hump day. It's the middle of the week. You all should be up and popping. I tell you what, Mr. E, not only is it hump day, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Our weather is absolutely beautiful. We can expect that throughout the week.
That's right. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, and the temperature on the outside will be up in the 80s today. So get ready to have a almost summer breeze.
I tell you what, not only is it a beautiful day, but this is FYI's Wednesday segment. What's under the hat? Issues concerning you men.
Issues concerning the brotherhood?
Absolutely. And today we're going to talk about Father's Day without Dad.
Father's Day is right around the corner. And guess what? It's a wonderful time that we need to really pay close attention to and celebrate without the papas.
With the papas. Without the papas. But I tell you what, Father's Day without Dad is definitely hard. You know, when I was thinking about this segment, Mr. E, my mind rewind when I was a little girl, 4 years old, going on 5 years old, around 5 years old. And there was a tragic accident in the subway, and it happened to be my father. He
Wow.
died
Wow.
in New York, Brooklyn, New York. That's where we lived. That was where I was born. And Father's Day was never the same. Uh, reminiscing about my father, but the thing about it, celebrating him, of course, eventually, but that impact of him dying and dying tragically just took, a toll on our psyche as we thought about father. As we thought about, so we came down here. My mother moved back here to Virginia, where she is from, and like I said, we really, really, we were just kind of like traumatized.
Wow.
And it was never the same. But today, a lot of people have gone through that. They have lost their father. Some people lose their father when they're, a nice age. My father died very young, and so it is a hard thing.
That's right, Miss Hinton. It's one of the hardest things that folks could ever experience when your father passed away. My father passed away at an early age of 52 years old. A young man. He came out of North Carolina, and he from North Carolina came here and started working, and then he started doing what he wanted to do, and then all of a sudden, my father passed away at the rightful age of 52 years old. And yes, I miss him.
Absolutely. You miss him. You always miss him. I used to think about him every day. It was just, like I said, it took a toll on us because it was just his presence was so much there, a part of us. He, loved us. It was seven of us, and he was 30, I think 32, 34, wow. 35 years old when he died tragically. And so today we want to talk about Father's Day without dad. And we want to talk about men, how you feel, it's hard without dad. How do you cope? Especially on Father's Day. And then we want to give some tips to help you through the grief.
That's right.
Because I'm telling you, some people have just freshly lost their father. We want to make sure we're praying for our friend.
That's right. Jay Jones. Yeah.
Judge Gerald Jones passed away on the 31st. And that's so fresh. And then here we have Father's Day coming. And so we know we have to pray because it takes a toll on the heart. The memories, the love, and all that is something that I'm sure he has to grieve through.
One of the things we can show here that Father's Day without a dad can be challenging times, but there are ways to still honor the holiday and remember your father. You can choose to participate in ways that feel meaningful to you, whether they be by donating to his favorite charity, sharing stories about him, or doing activities you enjoy with him. It's also okay to acknowledge the day without participating in traditional celebration. If that's what you feel best, I want to let you know that Father's Day is right around the corner. And Miss Hinton, without your daddy, you can still celebrate.
Absolutely. You can still memorialize your father. You can celebrate him. You can donate to a charity in his name, or you can plant a tree. You can just create a memory book. You can talk about him. It's a really good thing to talk about. And we used to talk about our father all the time. And it really brings relief because you think about the funny times and things that they did that really made an impact. I can still think about my father when he used to take us to Coney Island in Brooklyn. And we used to just love that about him. And those things can really help you to feel good about him. You can journal. You can just, look in the mirror. And sometimes you look like your father. That gives you joy and peace. Just doing that, Mr. E.
That's right. That gives you joy, give you peace. Miss Hinton, and you can buy your Father's Day card. Just in memory of your father. You said something earlier to memorize your father by donating to a charity. Mm-hmm. If your father passed away suddenly, or if your father passed away because of cancer, or whatever way that he died, find a charity,
Mm-hmm.
that you can donate and memorize of your father. Make sure you talk about your daddy. I talk daily with my brothers and sisters some days, and we talk about my dad, how good my dad was, and how great of a man he was. But
Mm-hmm.
Miss Hinton, but at the age of 52 years old, at an early age with six children and 32, 42 grandchildren and great grandchildren, that he never got an opportunity to see any of his grands grow up.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Never got an opportunity, but I think what was two that he met. That was my niece Lawanda and three, Avery and Tamara.
Okay, so let's talk about it. From your point of view, what did it look like to lose a father? He's a young man. What impact did it have on you?
Miss Hunter, when you lose a father, especially if your father is one of a great role model, he can do this, he can do that, he can do this. My dad was a jack of all trades. He can do almost anything. I mean, there was nothing that my daddy could not do. He can work on cars. He can do electrician work. He can do plumbing. It was something to see that, and how this man could almost do anything. I remember the time that my father was doing some plumbing work one time. Before, he was a self-made, he had his own business, and he was doing plumbing work, and he had me and my two brothers underneath the house with him,
Mm-hmm.
teaching us how to be a plumber. I said,
Wow.
"Whoa, this is we underneath the house in the with lights on, and then all of a sudden a snake shows his head, and my daddy became our hero while we was underneath the house, because he took the torch and burned the snake up, and got us to
Oh,
safety."
wow.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, the little things, you remember, and you hold them dear to you. But you can also, there are so many things that you can do. So many activities, so many ways of, a tribute.
yeah,
Now with social media, you see that a lot. Somebody pass away or icon, and you see so many tributes and people talking about, the good things that they do. That's another thing. The family's going to celebrate that person, that dad. But then you have the community that says, you know what? He was a good dad to you all, but he was a good person altogether. He did this and he did, and he loved the community, or he gave back, or he worked hard. We saw him as a hard worker.
yeah.
And those things really lift you up,
That's right.
making you, know that, even though you lost someone, that, his life and legacy still lingers on.
And that's why you get to the point where you share stories with everybody. I used to hear that song, that Patches, that used to be on radio. My papa was a great old man. He used to run with a shovel in his hand. I used, my dad was that kind of guy. He had a
Right.
shovel, but today they don't make fathers like that, that has the
Yeah.
family in mind.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Why do you say that?
some
All these
fathers,
good fathers.
some fathers out here today, they don't have the family in mind. They're not really so many. When you look around, Miss Hinton, today, in this today,
Are you serious?
I'm looking. I'm talking about, when you look around, there are so many families without fathers living in their homes.
True that.
And when fathers are not with the families, that some of the things that a father need to show their child, their man child, and because he's not in the home, it's taken away from the teaching that need to be taught into a man child.
Well, hopefully, even if he's not in the home directly with that child, he is playing a role
We hopefully,
in that
yeah.
father's life. But getting back to fathers that are not there, let's talk about the grieving process and how long you think that lasts. Was it something, Mr. E, that you did all the time? Why did you grieve? How did you grieve? And what things did you do to help you through that grief process?
One thing about grieving with me, one thing with my father, when my father passed away, the emotions, of thinking about how we gonna make it, the emotions about what's going on with him, because he was such a great fellow. He had his ups, he had his downs, he had his, like every father's got some ways on him, Miss Hinton. And so when his birthday comes around and when Father's Day comes around, you think about those moments when I passed by some of the neighborhoods that we used to live in, and some of the friends that that I talk to. We share great moments. If I go to Facebook and we might hear somebody call him by his name, Clarence. Where Clarence at? His name was Clarence, but they mix his name up and say, where Clarence at? And so you think about those moments, and to me, I couldn't cry. I didn't cry at my father's funeral when my father passed away. I broke out in hives, because they said a man ain't supposed to cry. So I broke out in hives, but my emotions was, man, I miss my father. I miss him because he passed at such a young age and suddenly.
Practice self-care. It is a hard thing. But the thing about it is, if you, go under, if you lose your mind, if you, can't take, such, the trauma, then, you're going to have to do things like connecting with others, who have had the same experience. And, so they can provide you with valuable support. Make sure you taking care of the body you eating. Some people, when people pass away, and when they pass away tragically, they stop eating. I know someone who had a loved one pass away, and they stopped eating. They lost so much weight, they just couldn't. They couldn't, get a grip to, a father being gone, and they didn't know how to eat. They didn't know how to function. They just wasted away for a while. And so, getting with other people and getting that support is definitely key. Don't isolate yourself. The advice is giving. And, which it is, sometimes something that we want to do. We want to be alone with our thoughts. We want to be alone to think about dad. We want to be alone to just, get away from people, because sometimes people don't know what to say at a time this. It's not their fault, but sometimes they just don't know what to say. But the best thing to do, one of the best things to do, is to get that support.
That's right. And do activities. You do some activities that's going to help you to enjoy, instead of you going into isolation, instead of you shutting down. Do some activities like driving out, camping, or do some fishing. Do some activities, that will help you so you won't go under. Because it's a hard thing when, like you said, when you lose a loved one, you think about them all the time, and memories, and you think about the good and you think about the bad time. I remember that my dad took me and my two brothers when we got a certain age. He took us down to the recruiting station, the army, and when we got 18 years old, and we began ready to become grown men, graduating from high school, my father took me down to the recruiting officer, the army recruiting officer, and he said, "Listen, you got you don't have a full-time job, you ain't got a full scholarship to go to college. Well, I'll see you later, because you don't live at my house no more."
Absolutely. So we're talking about, when dad is not there, celebrating Father's Day without your dad. And it is definitely a hard thing. I encourage fathers who are, you've lost your father, but you are fathers, to invest that time in your children, invest that time into loving them more, and to also, passing down some of those things that your father taught you. Some of those sayings and some of those things that he did, just invest in your children, and, do things that will help, make you feel more healthier, to heal, and just to let them see the strength in you. Not that you can't cry in front of your children, that's fine. But I'm saying that they can see, the strength that you have, which you probably got from your pop.
Well, don't be afraid to ask for help too. You know, when you're going through that moment, don't be afraid to ask for help. Reach out to your friends and to your family members
Mhm.
who have experienced similar losses, or consider attending their bereavement. Reach out
Mhm.
to somebody and let them know, hey man, I'm going through at the time. I'm missing my father. I'm missing my loved one. And so I just need a shoulder to lean on. You know, I just need someone to because I don't want to go to the left.
And if you're struggling real bad, you can always seek professional
Yeah,
help.
yeah,
If you're struggling to cope, consider guidance from a therapist or counselor. Make sure, somebody knows how you feel. Let them know that it's hard for you to get through the day
yeah.
because you're grieving so hard. Some people are that close to
That's
their
right.
father
That's right.
that it just makes a impact on them, and they just feel like they can't go on. Sometimes when you lose a parent like that, you can't see the future.
Yeah.
It's like life have just stopped there, and you're suspended in air. It just doesn't feel right. And so you have to, when it gets to the point of it gets real, real hard, you need to definitely seek help. And also going to the gravesite eventually, talking to your father. My brother, he was grown up, and he just one day he was like, I got to go, I got to talk to my father. It was years after my father
Yeah.
had died, and he went to Brooklyn. And he visited the grave, and he got, he found solace and help just speaking to him. And the loss of a father, it's just really tragic. But he did that, and he began to move on.
Also remember, Miss Hinton, there is no right and wrong way to spend Father's Day without your dad.
Mhm,
The most important thing is to honor
mhm.
his memories and find ways to cope with your emotions in a way
Mhm.
that feels right to you. Remember, it's okay to remember and to go through. It's okay to remember there's no right and wrong way to celebrate or to spend Father's Day without your father. Go to the, like Miss Hinton said, to the cemetery. Sit down and visit him and talk to him and ask him, if you get that answer, ask him, is he proud of you? Some of the things that you had to deal with, some of the issues in life to get you to where you are today. It was a
Yes.
foundation that was put into you. And just remember everything that you're dealing with. Dad put that in you so that you can go the distance, so that you can go the mile. And when I was saying about my father, Miss Hinton, when he took us to the armed force station, when he took us to go to recruiter's office, he was saying to us, you got to get out the nest now. It's time for you to fly. That's right. It's time for you to be on your own, because he realized adults, two men, men cannot stay in the same house together, because there's going to be some testosterone problem. There might be some problem that you might not want to obey him, and he was doing something right to start you on your own. Remember those things that he did that are dear to you to help, to push you to your next level.
Absolutely. Now, this is a hard one, and this is called regrets.
Yeah.
Regrets because there was not a good
Yeah.
relationship. Regrets because he's not here to make it right.
That's right.
Regrets because you all didn't do right with one another. There's too much fighting, bickering, disagreements, hard headedness. And, you're now in a place of never being able to say
That's right.
physically, Dad, I'm sorry, or hearing it from Dad, or Dad saying, I wronged you, or I wish I could have done things differently. So when those days roll around, or any day, your mind is in that same spot. You can't move because there's another trauma because of the regrets. And so you're gonna have to come to grips with the fact that I can't change the fact that he's gone. I can't change what happened in the past with me and my father, but I can still forgive myself and forgive him and celebrate
That's right.
him. I can still write the letter. I can still, make the balloons and let them go out in the sky in behalf of father. I can still get together with the support group because, hey, I know where we failed. And relationships are hard anyway. And
That's right.
sometimes people are hard on themselves, Miss E. They have regrets, and they sometimes should lighten up on themselves, because in any relationship, there are problems. I don't care what it is. If it's a marriage, if it's a mother and son, mother and daughter, father and daughter, sometimes those relationships are strained, and sometimes people get along different because they are different. For that fact, there are times, when you feel that regret, but you need to kind of lighten the load and just ask God to forgive you for any mistakes that you've made in the relationship, and to forgive that other person as well.
And that's what it's all about. Make sure that you go there. Don't be feel so bad about yourself. About you and Dad and I. We didn't make it right. We did not make it right. Remember, there's nothing you can change now because Dad is no longer here. But you can move on and practice that you don't treat your child in the way that causes that friction between. Make sure you got a good, solid relationship right now, with your sons or with your daughters, that you can go to them and dialogue with them and talk to them. And just in case you made some errors in life, that you be man enough or a father enough to say, hey, look, I love you, son. Let's keep on moving along. Let's don't let this mistake stop us from being fathers and sons.
Absolutely. Well, let's pass down the values to our children. Let's do different than you did with your dad if there's been a lot of mistakes. See the wrong that was in the relationship, and don't pass that to your children.
That's right.
Don't be in that mess where you can't hear, or you can't communicate, or you can't seek help or get support, or you can't love them like they should because you and your father had a bad relationship. And so now it is time for celebration.
Yeah.
And so those that are grieving, those that are in that place of regret, those that have been traumatized because of loss of a dad, you can go ahead and celebrate. You have permission to feel good about your father, no matter what the circumstances is and was.
And because your father's not here, you got to look at yourself in the mirror and remember, if it wasn't for him, you wouldn't have been here.
Absolutely.
If it wasn't for your father, when you look in your mirror, you see your father in you, because you and your father are one.
So the key is to make sure you love and celebrate your father, and do right by those that are still here, and invest in your children the things that you need to invest.
That's right. And don't keep on going back to the old. Let it go. Let it go so that you can move forward. Let it go so that you can have some closure in life. You can't go dig the grave up no more. You can't go and open up the cat. It's gone. It's over with. You got to let it go and go ahead and move on with your life and start to celebrate the good, the bad, and the indifference, what Dad had given unto you, and keep it moving.
So we celebrate this month. It's going to be a celebration of fathers. We're going to talk about fathers. We're going to talk about what we give to our fathers on Father's Day. We have a segment coming up.
I can't wait.
With Mr. Chris Hinton and Beard God, some of the great gifts that he has, but some of the things that men, would appreciate and love are from their children. And I really believe that dads love that celebration.
Yeah,
we
do.
Really celebrate women and mothers. And so here's the time for men to be celebrated and loved.
Have you ever noticed that some men, they don't say, well, you do what you want. They really enjoy it. They really enjoy somebody making stink out of them, making some mess or fuss out of them. But they want to act like, oh, it's all cool, it's all good, and y'all make sure y'all do right and get everything done. But deep down inside of us, deep down inside of a man, he's rejoicing. He's eating it up. He might get behind the tree when nobody is looking at him. Say, "Oh, I'm just as happy as all outdoors because my children, my babies, my youngins, they didn't forget about my grandchildren. They thought so much of me to get me something for Father's Day, and and I'm gonna remember it. I might put it in my dresser drawer. I might put my little tie, my handkerchief, whatever. I'm eating this up because they thought about me."
So if your father's still here, make sure you love on him. Tell him how much you love and care. Give him some great gifts. So we'll be back on next Wednesday and tell you some of the things that you can give fathers that they would love and appreciate. Look, we'll see you on Fun Friday. You have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful day. Look, and tonight we have Jason Baker talking about cryptocurrency, money, and more. We'll see you at 6 p.m. on all social media platforms. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Where I am now.
For the past 30 minutes, you've been listening to the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, the FYI Radio Show, with your host, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton. I'm Ed Everett, the co-host. For more information about FYI, you can give us a call at 757-714-7861, or you can email us at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com, or you can inbox us at Edward Everett Facebook page, Miss Yolanda, the Lady Hinton Facebook page, or FYI Facebook page. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 9:30 to 10 right here on WGPL 1350, WPCE 1400 Peace 95.3, WMVA 88.9, and on all social media platforms. Have a wonderful, wonderful hump day. Bye now.
All right, all right, all right. It's time for you all to celebrate fathers. You know, we've got to do it up for them, just like we do for mothers.
Yeah.
We really go all out. Mothers are out there. We wine and dine them. We give them the best gifts. We love on them. We smile at them, and we give the greatest tributes. Let's do that for our dads as well. We want to really let them know that they are loved.
That's right. That's right. Make sure you go out there and make sure you let Dad know. Dad, we could have never made it without you.
Absolutely. Now, look, we got some upcoming shows. FYI, After Dark tonight. We usually on Mondays, but we have scheduled Jason L. Baker on tonight, Wednesday night. He's going to talk about cryptocurrency, money, and more. Also, just look out for our, I believe, June the 9th, Relationships 2025.
Yeah.
We're going to have Miss Alicia Bennett and others on that segment. Of course, Hot Topics, Yolanda Hinton, Around the Town, Community News and Events with co-host Edward Everett. We're going to have more Father's Day special on our morning shows. Of course, men issues, women's issues, and more. Please follow us on social media. And you can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor. I want to say that I'm looking at the connection for Instagram. I'm trying to see if it has disappeared. It says that we're on, but I will check and see. But we are kind of like looking at that to see why we don't see it physically on our platform. But anyway, look, you can be a special guest, intern, or sponsor. Mr. E has that information.
If you'd like to be a special guest, intern, or sponsor of the most talked about radio show in the whole wide world, all you have to do is give us a call at 757-714-7861. If you'd like to be in our audience, that's right. If you want to be in our audience where we can, where you can be a special guest, just email us your email, and we email you back at FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com. That's FYIRadiosHowLive@gmail.com, or you can inbox us at FYI Radio Show, Edward Everett's Facebook page, or Miss Yolanda the Lady Hinton Facebook page, and we'll get back with you and let you know that we appreciate. Don't forget to join us Monday, Wednesday, and Friday right here on WGPL 1350 Peace 95.3 FM and on all social media platforms.
I tell you what, you all are a blessing. Thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for your support. We'll see you later this evening at 6 o'clock on Facebook Live, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, hopefully. So look, be blessed. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
And don't forget, Father's Day is right around the corner. We can't say it enough. By the time we turn around, it'll be gone, and y'all haven't done anything to show special for your father. Remember, Father's Day is right around the corner.
All right. See you soon.
2 down, VA.